Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Debate Night. We got Hunter, we got Brody. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Who knows what's going to be said on this podcast? I am.
Oh, boy.
I am lack of sleep deprived. Well, not lack of sleep deprived. I am sleep deprived. But I made it to Emporia. My what's the is it spatial awareness? So there's someone at Barstool that was talking about how they have like incredible I can't think of the word, but it's White Sox Dave. If you guys listen to Barstool Chicago, you'll know who White Sox Dave is. But he apparently, like, you can give him two cities in the United States or like two countries, and he can tell you like how far apart they are. Like, he has a really good idea of like that spatial, whatever that spatial awareness is not the right wording, but
no, but it makes sense.
Whatever it is, I have the exact opposite because I thought I was like an hour and a half away from Emporia in Eagles Crossing, and I definitely was not. It was like 5.5 hours drive.
I thought you were like 6 hours.
I got crushed.
Yeah, the only reason I had an idea was we went to Worlds in Emporia back in like 2016, I think is when it was there. And we drove from Lynchburg to Emporia, and we stopped in St. Louis for the night and played disc golf here, and then got up the next morning and drove. And it was like another 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I have any clue because, I mean, I had no idea that St. Louis is right. We're like on the border of Missouri right now. We're in Missouri, on the border of Illinois.
Is it St. Louis that's on the what's in Missouri and in Kansas?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, okay.
Yeah, the two big cities in Missouri are like the opposite end of the state, and they're both like right on the border.
Dang, I wonder how Missouri feels about like not actually having like a big city.
Yeah, like they're both trying to get out of the state.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out my schedule as far as like what I'm doing after DDO. Obviously, I'm going to Lynchburg. But I'm trying to figure out how I'm getting there. And I think looking up how long the drive is to Lynchburg pretty much sealed my fate. That's a 17-hour drive, 18-hour drive. So I think I'm just going to drive to Dallas.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'm driving to Dallas. It's like a couple hours. It's like 5 or 6 hours, which at this point in time is nothing. And then I think I'm gonna fly in to Lynchburg. And then I'm either I don't know if I'm doing Masters Cup yet. So that's gonna be a game time decision potentially.
I got you.
Yeah, the store's grand opening, right? Coming up next weekend.
May 7th.
I got these bad boys. Bang.
Oh, there they are. I haven't seen them yet. They came in after we left for town. For St. Louis.
We just got them in. They're pretty sick.
Yeah, they're sick.
I'm pretty stoked to get my hands on them.
I'm hoping they are stable boys because the weather for DDO give you a little insider information. I mean, obviously you can look it up, but a little insider information for your picks this week, Hunter. Stupid windy.
Yeah.
And thunderstorms. So
ooh, fun.
So find someone that likes to play in bad weather.
I need someone who's like good through 2 rounds in case it gets canceled.
Yeah. I'm trying
Maybe
to
it's Raincoat Ricky.
I don't think we've had, other than WR Jackson, which it did actually rain quite a bit there. I don't think we've had like oh man, like this is perfect disc golf weather. Like no wind, sunshine. So far, like every tournament we've been to has been like at least one day has been like, wow, this wind is extreme. And it looks like, I mean, obviously when you come to DDO, you're expecting the wind, so it's nothing new here. But Yeah, it's just been a windy. Even Eagles Crossing when we went and did the skins match, it was windy the day before. It wasn't that bad. It was maybe 10 to 15 when we played, but it was like we started. And it was like in the 40s when we were warming up. I
Yeah.
was like, "What is going on? Where's
Yeah.
the weather? What weather are we? What is this?" Also, aren't leaves supposed to be back on trees by now?
Yeah. Are they not?
No,
Dude, in
they were like,
Virginia they are popping.
you got
Yeah.
leaves all over trees
Yeah,
over there.
there's a lot of leaves. We
Yeah.
just had like
It's
a
all
big rain
green.
yesterday. Yeah, we got leaves, baby.
Yeah, you'll see when you guys play when you guys play the course, you'll see it's not as daunting because I think the leaves definitely make gaps and stuff look smaller than they are.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah. So what should I expect with this course? Walk
I
me
mean,
through
you
it a
guys
little
are
bit.
gonna
We've
get
never seen
absolutely
footage.
you guys are gonna get absolutely destroyed.
Heck yeah.
Wait, you guys are doing a battle, right? So you're doing
Yeah.
doubles?
We're doing a battle. We have no idea who we're playing against. I can't tell you if this guy's good or awful. No idea.
Wait, how do I feel like I know who you're playing against?
Jeff Love?
Do I know who you're playing against?
I don't know. Everyone local, we've said his name and they just don't know. All the Gateway guys when we were with them yesterday.
Oh,
So
okay, maybe I
this is
don't
a
know.
mystery man.
You're just playing as one person?
No, we're playing doubles. He has a partner. We don't know his partner's name.
Gotcha. No, I mean you guys are gonna get destroyed. My guess is you probably throw between you and Trevor. My guess
Mhm.
is you're probably throwing 4 discs in the water.
Heck yeah. Okay.
More if you don't have someone like playing defense around the baskets for putts, because
Oh, jeez. Is there that
you'll
much
probably
water?
you'll probably end up having 3 or 4 putts where it's just like if you miss the basket, you're going straight in the water. You actually might have more than that. But yeah, if it's windy too, I mean,
Yeah.
I would be impressed if you guys shot. I'd
Yeah.
be
Give us a
impressed if you
score.
got multiple birdies if it's windy.
What's a total score you're thinking? If we texted you after the round, we're like, we shot this, you'd be like, wow, that's impressive.
It's tough to say because obviously in skins,
Is
like
it like just getting under par?
if you guys shot under par out there, I think I'd be pretty impressed. Because like
So under par and doubles would be
you're not getting 1, you're not getting 2. Uh, hole 3. I don't even remember what hole 3 was. You're not getting hole 4. You could probably birdie the cake hole. You can probably birdie
okay.
a couple holes on the front 9, but bogeys are definitely going to be. I mean, we just played skins and there was multiple holes where like par 1, and then a couple holes I think where bogey maybe even pushed. So I don't know. It's tough to say too because in skins you're like throwing aggressive shots and you're doing stuff a lot differently.
Mm-hmm.
I was, yeah, I don't know. It's a different mindset, but
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you guys think of the course, and it'll also be interesting too just to see from your guys' like distance
Mm-hmm.
how much harder that course plays because Scott obviously doesn't throw his backhand as far as me, Simon, and Calvin do, but his forehand he still has elite distance with his forehand.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting with both of you two having, let's say what 425 feet power
Yeah.
forehand,
Right on.
backhand.
Oh, forehand we're like 320, 330.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Backhand we're like
There's not too many like you're probably gonna throw backhand almost off of every tee shot. My guess is. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting. I think you guys will like the challenge.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is if the course has been overhyped to where like in my head I'm expecting this like incredible place and then I get out there and because of that expectation I don't like it as much. That's the only thing I'm worried about
If
because
you
it's been
look
hyped up a lot.
if you look at it as like as a whole, as far as the entire venue goes, then
Mhm.
you'll be like, wow, this is something that disc golf doesn't have, right? And
Okay.
that's how I was comparing it to. Like I was comparing the so-called, let's just say, like resort
Mhm.
to disc golf because if you compare it to a golf resort,
Yeah.
I think that's an unfair comparison. So as far as disc golf is concerned, it's a place that I haven't even come close to witnessing yet. I know people talk about Maple Hill. Um, we'll see how that is. Obviously, I'm curious to see how much that feels like a disc golf course and is separated from the actual like money uh driver, which is like the Christmas tree kind of farm, right?
Yeah.
Because this is solely just disc golf. There's nothing else out there. No one, there's no other reason why people would drive out to this place. So, and they're building another course too to try to have two solid courses on property. They've
Mm.
got cabins. I stayed in one of the cabins out there, which is pretty much, it felt like a really, really nice RV is how it felt like.
Okay.
Or maybe a really nice like mobile home, maybe is the vibe. I'm not entirely sure, but it was very comfortable to stay in. I think they had multiple cabins out there too, so you could theoretically have, you know, a bros disc golf trip where you and your 10 buddies or something like that go out and stay on site. They've got full kitchens and all that stuff in there too, so
Oh wow.
you can cook food and never have to leave property. And the course is long and pretty tough walk, so it's like you could easily just play 9 holes, stop, have some lunch, play the back nine. um, the driving range is fun just to go out there and chuck discs. So yeah, I think you guys will, if you compare it to other disc golf courses, I think you guys will be thoroughly impressed with everything. It's it's tough to compare it again. It's tough to compare it to golf because if you look at like the top, let's say the top 20 golf courses in the world, there are
Hmm.
very like distinct like locational characteristics, if you will, that
Yeah.
put those courses above other ones, right? They're on the cliffs of an ocean, or they're in the uh, crazy jungles in Hawaii, or whatever it
Hmm.
is. Like they're in places where you just feel like, holy cow, this is special. And even if there wasn't a
Yeah.
golf course there, you could walk around and be like, wow, this is like incredible location where I'm at. Disc golf, I don't know if that exists yet. I've played actually some courses, like Tampa, there's a really cool course right by the water, but again, it's like a park. Like
Hmm.
it's not a course that was built simply for disc golf. It was something that was already there and then like you just threw a basket and tee pads in. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you're going to be walking around being like, "Wow, the land and topography is incredible," but they have done a crazy good job. And I don't even know. I should have asked if those lakes are man-made or if they're natural, but they've done a good job of like incorporating some really cool features on the land into the course. So
Not,
definitely interested in hearing what you guys think of it.
yeah. I'm stoked to get out there. That was like the whole reason for this trip is go out there in a few hours. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been a fun trip so far in St. Louis. Had a pretty awesome tour of the Gateway factory here, which was
Yeah, I
I
heard.
I'd never seen like the molding machines, the actual molds of like what makes a disc and like the plastic before it goes in and all that. So it was fascinating just to hear like the whole process of what all happens to actually make a disc golf disc and then
Mhm.
see the machines up and running and all that. That was pretty sick. So and then obviously the courses around here are pretty fun. We played Carrollton and Jefferson Barracks Park. They were trying to tell us there's a Jefferson Barracks. They put in a course called the Bunker, and like all the locals were like hyping it up, asking us like if we're gonna play. And I was like, what's it like? And one of the guys at Gateway described it to me as Northwoods Black if they hadn't cut it in yet. And I was like, that sounds awful. I was like, I have no desire to play that. So I don't know if that
Yeah.
was just a really poor description of it or what happened, but I was like, why? Well, if you're trying to sell me on a course, you want me to go play for a video. Why would you tell me that? And then a different person at Gateway was like, yeah, you don't want to go out there to film. Like you'll be behind the tee and the camera will be like, where's the line? I'm like, what? I don't want to play that. So we ended up playing the Jefferson Barracks Park area, and that was a really fun course. That's just like a park style course. But
That
yeah, it was
brings
a
up
good time.
that brings up an interesting question with kind of like the rules or guidelines or regulations, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
of like fairway width. This is something I've been
Mm.
kind of talking to a little bit with some of the guys on tour, because there's so many times where we'll go to a course like WR Jackson's a good example of a course that obviously went through a lot of changes as far
Yeah.
as they took out a lot of trees before the Champions Cup. That was essentially,
Mm-hmm.
I think, what like Yuli when he went out there and did the walkthrough and all that stuff. I think that was something that he did. I don't think they changed actual pin
Yeah.
locations or tee pads, but they were like, hey, these trees kind of gotta go. And that's something that you'll hear a lot of times if you ask pros and they're actually, pretty upfront with their feelings on a course. They'll tell you, hey, like there's some trees on this hole that make it fluky. And I think that's really the big thing, is it's like no one is good enough, and no one will ever be good enough to be able to consistently control their disc within, like, let's say 5 feet, 400 feet down a fairway, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have a fairway that's 30 feet wide, but then 400 feet down that fairway that's 30 feet wide, you have a tree in the middle of the fairway. No one is good enough to be like, all right, I'm these 5 discs, I'm gonna throw left of the tree, and then these next 5 shots, I'm gonna throw right of the tree. No one's
Mm.
consistently being able to do that. We are all basically just trying to throw it down the fairway, and then when it gets to that tree, we're just hoping it doesn't hit. And so that's where I think fairway width would be a very interesting guideline, or something that either the PDGA does or the Disc Golf Pro Tour does, of where as you get off the tee pad, it needs to get wider and wider and wider. So
Mm.
if you have, let's say, a 500-foot hole, right? You can, if you want to have that 10-foot gap, that 10-foot gap needs to come right off the tee pad, or that 10-foot gap can be like further down the fairway, but there needs to be like trees and stuff around it. I think people just don't want to have it to where like there's a fairway and then there's just like random trees in the
In the
fairway.
middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that cause sometimes what you would consider someone that, if you've thrown it 400 feet down the fairway, in my mind, like that was a good tee shot, and hitting a tree and then, ricocheting into who knows where, that's like unfortunate. I think that's where people get a little upset with like the bad breaks, I guess you could say. And so I think that kind of
Yeah.
eliminates that. So that's something that would be interesting to see maybe experimented with, of just like, okay, what does it look like if we try to designate a certain width to where these holes need to have a fairway, so that way players can actually throw shots and not, I think it takes out that element of luck. And that was something that you guys were talking a lot with Grip Locked, right? With the
Yeah.
trash cans on the
Yeah.
bottom
Yeah.
of the basket. I actually haven't heard from anyone, like, I think everyone's just kind of, it's a roll away is kind of like the thought process with it. So I haven't heard anyone be like, gosh, these trash cans are super unlucky, because there's also been a lot of people that hit them and they don't go anywhere. So I think it's just one of those.
That's what annoys me about it is like you hit. So a lot of people hit them and they stay, but then other people hit them and it just kicks up and rolls. Which that is an aspect of disc golf. That can happen with a tree and stuff.
Was
But
with a tree and with a
different when you're
basket.
what?
It can happen with a basket too, and a putt, right? Like you hit the basket and
Yeah.
it sits, and then you hit a basket and then it
Well, like
rolls down the hill.
yeah. The difference to me, I guess, is just like those are kind of necessities for the game versus the can at the bottom is something that we're bringing in. So like we're adding randomness into the sport, if that makes sense. Versus like the basket, the cage of the basket, you're not going to really be able to do anything to change the randomness if you hit the cage. Like that is what it is, or a tree. But you can do something about the randomness of the pole, and like the pole as it is just a tiny in the ground small thing. So like you can't make that smaller. But when you add something to it, that makes it a much bigger target. And in this case, looked like it actually propelled a disc to be a much worse reaction for a really good shot than it should have been. That's when I'm like, I don't think I like that.
Mm. Yeah,
Have you
Ricky.
watched that rollaway?
No, Ricky. Ricky hit on hole 17. Ricky threw roller, and it looked good, and then we heard like a wow. We're like, what the heck? And we like peeked our head because hole 17 they put up those huge the Zuka triple Mando thing to prohibit
Yeah.
people from throwing like the big hyzer on that hole. And we were blocked by what it hit, but it hit one of those freaking huge like advertisement signs that was they had up around the women's tee pad. So Ricky was like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't it's crazy that you have to like some of these holes you have to like almost like the feather banners too are another thing of where those sometimes on certain holes will like come into play. And like we played, I think Des Moines was one of the tournaments that we played last year where people were like, yo, these feather banners on hole 18, because they put them like on the side of one of the fairways on hole 18. And I guess if you think about it, you're like, oh, those aren't in the way. But on certain shots where people want to like throw a certain shot, you're like, I'm throwing right at these feather banners. So like that was a tournament where they actually ended up moving after round one. They ended up moving those feather banners completely. I think they did the same with some signs also at Texas State's. But yeah, I agree with you on the side of like if there's a way of reducing weird bounces and iffy kind of kicks and stuff, I think that's definitely something that they should strive to do for sure.
Yeah, now we also had to talk through the tee pads at Jonesboro because I've seen. So obviously there was the post from Paul about the playoff, and he showed where like it scrunched up when he planted and threw. But then there's also hole, I think it was 14 round
Did you
2. There
see?
like
Did you
be a
see the
hole in the
tweet
middle.
that someone sent? Did you see the tweet that someone sent
No.
where it did the same thing apparently on his first drive
on his drive.
where he parked it?
Did you notice playing that tee at all though? Like,
No,
did you notice it being loose or slick?
no.
Because I mean, the tee pad, it's obvious in the video, even if it happened the first time, that it does scrunch up. So like,
T pads were not an issue except for hole 14 where they had a hole.
and that was the whole one. What happened there?
For my four rounds playing with what was it, 11 different players, there was never one tee pad issue except for hole 14. And that was just because it seemed like maybe a gopher decided to
like pop
up the wrong spot. I don't know. I have no idea how that happened. It literally was just like
that one confused me.
We just walked up to the tee pad and like there was someone there being like, "Hey, just want to let you guys know that there's a hole." This is something. This is all I'll say on this matter, and then we can go to something else. But this is something that I find interesting, and this is something that I've obviously have been really, really working on this year because I have fallen victim to this myself, and I think it's easy to do in these individual sports that are very challenging and like mentally challenging as well to just like come up, and you'll hear it all the time, right? Like after a round, you'll hear people be like, ah, man, I had a really bad spit out, or like this disc was going great and then it hit a tree and ricocheted. Like they'll come up with basically a bunch of things that went wrong for them that caused them strokes, right? And I obviously do this as well, but I've been trying to basically limit that to things that I can control in the future, right? Like I can't really control if I get a really bad roll away down a hill. But what I can control is my decision making on maybe that was a putt that I should have laid up, or I can also control the fact of like that doesn't roll down the hill if I actually throw it in the chains and it goes in the basket, right? So it's like I need to get better at putting so that doesn't happen. So something I was thinking about was you often hear players after the round come up with excuses of why they lost a stroke here or lost a stroke there or whatever, but you never really ever hear someone come up with excuses of why good things happen to them, right? So
Mhm.
you'll never hear someone be like, yeah, I shot 10 under, but man, on hole 7, I got a super lucky break. I shanked my shot and it just got super lucky. Like on the hole 12, the par 4 hole,
Mhm.
I got 2 really lucky drives on that hole. One, I early released and almost clipped the tree on the left, which is like right in the OB. And if you hit that tree, you just like drop OB and you're screwed. And then the final day I was playing with Ezra and Ricky, and it is funny sometimes who you play with can sometimes dictate what shots you go for, because you'll see something and be like, why the heck have I not been doing that? So they both went like big Annie and essentially got up to like the top of the hill on that hole. You know the hole I'm talking about?
No.
Hole 12, the big bomber hole that's like par 4 that you like throw over the little creek. It's the hole that caddy corners the really hard par 3 that goes the opposite direction where the basket's on the log.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Now I
Yeah,
got
so
it.
it's like 420 feet, 430 to clear the little creek, and then you go up the hill, and the basket's like a blind shot on the other side.
Yeah.
So they're all going like Big Sky Annie on that hole. And I was like, what the heck? That looks incredible. Because they were literally getting to the top of the hill, which they literally can see the basket at that point, just like jump putt down, tap in birdie. So I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I put mine on a little bit more angle than they did. And so I ended up like, instead of flexing out, mine just kept going right, but it went through the big tree bunker gap on the right and then flexed out later because it's going downhill now. I ended up being 40 long on that basket. So
Holy.
I had like a 60-foot jump putt. I gotta post the video because I don't think people will believe where I ended up. Because we were looking for my disc for like 2 or 3 minutes, being like, it's got to be over here. It's got to be over here. And Ezra ended up having a bad roll away on that hole. And he's like, no, dude, you're down here. I'm like, what the heck? But um, that's something that I just find interesting, of where like you never really hear that from most players, of where after a round, if they shoot like 10 under or something, a lot of times the focus is on what went wrong and like what maybe like kind of screwed them out of some shots, but they'll never really be like, oh yeah, like hole 17, for example, like hole 17, I shanked my driver and I just got lucky that it skipped into the like the barbed wire fence and didn't go OB. But as soon as I threw it, I was like, that's OB. But that saved me a shot for not going OB. So it's something that I've definitely been working on, because I think you can sometimes get in that trap of where you just start saying like, oh, like I was 3 over par on hole 6, which is like one of the easier holes. So like you start being like, oh, I should have been like 3 under on that hole. That's 6 shots. If I just do that, you get in that trap and you stop thinking about like what caused you to get in that situation versus like just the result, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
But yeah, I don't want to talk about the
regardless
tee
of,
pads. Tee pads were an issue.
so you saw where it did scrunch up. You don't think that's an issue needs to be addressed at all?
On the first drive that he parked it of the day,
Sure.
or his
Either
last drive?
any of them, and if it's crunched for anyone else. I'm just
I'm
saying, like,
sure
the
I'm
fact
sure
that
the
two
tee pads were
scrunched up
probably
is moot.
scrunching. The tee pads were not flat, and I mean it was not like New London tee pads. New London tee pads, like those turf where it's like thick turf,
Yeah.
like it wasn't that. It was like it reminded me kind of like porch, like an outdoor like porch, like indoor, like an outdoor, you know what I'm talking about? Like where it's like
Yeah,
carpet.
like some carpet type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. that's kind of how it reminded me of like that kind of texture. Could Jonesboro use nicer tee pads? I'm sure they could for sure, but again, like I said, we had a couple sprinkles too where they got wet. No slips, still no issue. I mean, it rained a ton on one of the days where they actually had to cancel practice because the course was so underwater. So the tee pads, and maybe that's what caused maybe some of the weird bumps and stuff in them a little bit. But I mean, it's disc golf. You're used to throwing off of unflat. That's not a word. Is that a word? How do
Bumpy.
you say that? Bumpy? Not really a good descriptive way of saying it, but
Unbalanced?
yeah, unbalanced. Yeah, I mean,
I
every
don't
other
know.
shot outside of tee pad, you're used to throwing it, but I understand how. I listen to you guys. I understand how, like, yeah, it definitely probably would look better moving forward of getting some sort of like regulation of like, hey, these are some surfaces that we're cool with. These are surfaces that we're like you can't play on, and these are like the minimum requirements of like the size of the tee pad.
Yeah. Well, because like in my head, you were used to throwing on weird surfaces and normally on grass, sometimes on leaves and stuff like that. But the tee pad's the one area that you should know I'm gonna have good footing. I'm not gonna slip. Something weird's not gonna happen. I'm gonna have good grip, and like I can trust to fully go into a shot. Like that's what the tee pad should provide you. Once you're in the
Yeah, I
fairway
agree.
or off the fairway, then like wherever you landed, yeah, you might be screwed by your footing, but don't land there. The tee pad, you obviously everyone's got to throw from it. So in my head, like there shouldn't be any reason of like, oh well, it's a little bumpy, but it is what it is, or it's scrunched up a little bit, but it shouldn't have affected anything. Like it should
Yeah.
just be the tee pad should be the area that everyone goes in 100% confident nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think too the main thing is just we all play as much as we can. We all play the same course. I think that's the most important thing is, hole 12, if the first 40 people got to play that hole and not have to like reposition their run up or whatever because of the hole in the middle of the
Yeah,
tee pad, and then all of a sudden the hole just forms. Like that's something that I think the tournament staff should like immediately try to come out and fix to get it back to the same playing condition that everyone else that played the hole did. um but yeah, that's the wear and tear on the, because that's another thing too, is like think about, you don't get it too much on the pro tour, but think about like some of like the A, B, C tiers that people play, and it's like
hmm
muddy as the
yeah,
day progresses. Like those tee pads get worse and worse because everyone's like beating their mud off on the tee pads and they're getting slick and all that stuff. So the people that play later in the rounds, they're playing on much more difficult conditions. So
yeah.
yeah, but
All right. Well, you texted and said you had something to talk about with
oh
caddies.
so l- how
Got to
was
hear
how
this.
was live? You guys, I'm assuming you guys watched a decent amount of it. How was it this week?
Seemed good. I didn't really see any. I mean, signal and everything was good, and the commentary was good. I
Okay.
didn't get to watch the full round of anything, but I didn't notice any issues, and I haven't heard any complaints on social media or anything.
So this is something also I was thinking about that I think could potentially add. I don't know how you enforce this because I think this has to organically happen over time. But I think this is something that could add a lot to the live coverage and
Okay.
make it to where you don't have Terry or Ian, trying to think who, Charlie, I guess, also does some of the live. You don't have those guys basically looking at, four camera angles because they get to see all the video. They're not looking at like four or five camera angles and like nothing's going on. Because I think this brought I think I thought about this a little bit when they were like showing that card game for like 30 minutes or
Hmm.
whatever it was. Did you see that or
Yeah.
no? Or
No, I didn't catch that, but
okay.
I saw people talk about it after. Yeah.
Or when they're showing people play hacky sack or whatever it
Yeah. I've
is,
seen,
or
seen it many times. Yeah.
when they're just like listening into like players' conversations. But this is what I'm thinking. The lack of caddies And even because some players do have caddies, but the lack of like the caddy player relationship where the caddy is not just someone that's like, hey, just carry my bag, don't talk to me unless you're talked to type of situation. Because that's kind of what we talked about, like with Paige, how she has
Yeah.
told like other caddies, she's like, I don't want you to talk to like other people and all that, which I understand. But then she's also like, I don't want you to talk to me unless I talk to you type of thing. If there was like a player caddy relationship where, you know, you're coming up to your disc, for example, or heck, even on the tee pad, and they're talking through the shot,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that now live coverage can have their mics on, and now Terry and even Ian don't have to even talk. They also don't have
Yeah.
to go to Nate for Nate to try to like speculate on what's going on. You can literally listen into the two people talk about what shots they're trying to do. And if you think about someone just wake up.
No, Connor is just sucking the curtains off the wall, snoring back there. I didn't know if it was getting picked up.
Oh my gosh. So if and what made me realize this is like that is probably our biggest reason why people like watching me and Ezra's practice rounds is that we're like talking out shots and
Yeah.
decision making and all that, and they find that really interesting. I think that's what disc golf right now is really missing, is because so many players don't have caddies, and so everything that they're thinking is up in here, and they're not
Mm-hmm.
talking it, they're not saying it out loud. And
Yeah.
you know, perfect example is like Paul's incredible shot on 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he had a caddy and it was a caddy that they were talking through that shot, the buildup for that shot would be the perfect buildup for it, because you would literally hear all the different scenarios of like there's a little like we don't even know how big the gap was. We don't know
Yeah.
what type of throw he was doing, if he was doing like an overstable disc. We don't know I mean, I'm sure in his head he was thinking like, I need to miss this right.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be over the water and it has to be right. Um, and so like all those things I think would really be interesting to hear. Same thing with like hole 18. Calvin was talking about how that was not his normal play on hole 18, right? His normal play
Yeah.
is not distance driver, 600 feet straight down that. I mean, that was the shot of the tournament, other
Yeah.
than him parking on hole one. But like hearing that go through of like, hey, how aggressive are we trying to get here? And just having someone else to talk that through, I think that could add a lot to the live coverage. Now, again, how do we get there? Who knows? Because it organically obviously has to
Yeah.
happen.
It just gotta have.
But
It's got to be players actually doing it.
I think that's something that could be really interesting when it does start happening. Or if someone does have a caddy potentially that they talk to, that's something that I think the Pro Tour definitely needs to lean in on when it comes to their coverage. Because I think people would love to kind of hear that, because we all want to know what's going on up in here. And
Yeah.
we all just have to speculate because none of the players, I mean, I'm trying to think, have I played with anyone that like talks to themselves out loud? That would be, I don't think I do, but that would also be kind of wild if someone's just like constantly talking to themselves.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It would definitely add a lot to the coverage, but like you were saying, like you're obviously you can't force players to be like, hey, every shot you're unsure about, you gotta talk it out with your caddy and make sure a
Yeah.
mic's near you. Like that
Yeah.
just that obviously wouldn't work. But I mean, whenever like they clearly have the capabilities to do like the hot mic stuff where they're near the tee pad and you can hear people talking back and forth. And there's been times where it's been very beneficial. Like there's an OB calling and you hear the card walk through,
Yep.
you know,
That's
different
interesting.
reasons of why, whatever, like stuff like that adds a ton. But it also, to your point, I think when there is like literally nothing to show, like there's a several card backup, we can maybe show one card in the fairway, but like catch card, like all of our cameras are on like the top three cards and they're all on the same hole. So like we can't just be cutting to all these different shots going on. That's where it would add a lot. Is it like that can kill a lot of downtime, hearing people walk through shots and stuff like that, and it wouldn't just be like, okay, let's throw it to Nate. Nate, what's he got? And then Nate tells you, and then it's back to you, and now you just got to talk to Phil fill time again, because then
Yeah,
you can
it
just hear, and you
basically
can also hear reactions after shots of like, man, I didn't get that over or whatever.
yeah, because right now too, you have a lot of times where players will actually end up just like saying that out loud or like to
Mhm.
everyone on the card, which I think is is something that probably, again, if you had a caddy, you would probably just say it to them, right?
Yeah.
Quietly, kind of off to the side versus like turning around and being like, oh man, there's so much more headwind out there than I thought. And it's like, all right, well, okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Noted. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the biggest advantage of it is it just extends how much like usable clip they have from each
Yeah.
shot, where right now it's really just like 2 seconds before they throw and then they throw.
Mhm.
And no one really wants to watch someone go back and forth to their bag, grabbing different discs, for 20 seconds, trying to figure out what to throw, and us not real like, them walking up being like, doing this whole thing of like, is it a backhand? Is it a forehand? That's not very interesting if you don't have any audio to back it up with. So
Yeah.
that was something I thought about on the way here. And I thought that was, oh man, I had another really good topic. Crap. There's something me and Calvin were talking about, I feel like, where it's like, oh, it was, I think we already talked about this. The Scotty Scheffler, what would you do if you had a putt for the win? Didn't we already talk about this?
No, I think so.
We never talked to Silas, we didn't talk about this? What you
No.
would do if you had a putt for the win?
No, I don't think so.
What?
No.
All right, let me just say the scenario, and if we've already talked about this, I apologize, and you guys
Okay.
can say we have. Okay, so you're on hole 18. Okay, you're winning by 3 shots, and you have a 40-foot putt. Nothing around the basket. There's no chance of like it rolling 100 feet down the hill. There's no chance of you throwing it OB. What are
Yeah.
you? I haven't given you this scenario.
No.
Okay, what are you doing? 40 feet away.
Three shot lead.
3-shot lead. You're like 12 under par. You're absolutely shredding.
I'm putting it under the basket.
Okay, Silas.
Yeah, I'm just laying it up.
Okay.
That's all you gotta
See,
do.
I think there's people on the other side of the fence too. I'm on your guys' side of where it's like I'm throwing it under the basket, tapping in.
Yeah.
There's people on the other side of the fence that are like, well, I'm going to
Why?
try and make it.
What's their reasoning? Why do you try
Uh,
to make that?
I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is. I think only bad can come of it.
You're saying you're on the
Yeah,
last
'cause-
hole, hole 18?
Like even if you're
Yeah, is it?
even if you're 30 feet away, Silas, are you still laying up?
Yeah. If I have a
I
3-stroke
think
lead.
Oh, see, wait, Hunter, where are you at 30 feet?
I think when I'm at like 20 feet, that's when
Yeah.
I'll make that putt,
Yeah.
or at least
I agree
run
with
it.
that.
20
20.
feet you're trying to make it.
Yeah, 20 feet.
Yeah, I think
I'm making it.
I like what could like. There's no reason to lay this up now. Like I should make this, especially in that.
But what if you don't?
Well,
Then
you
it's
got
embarrassing. But like
a
in
couple
your
more
scenario,
tries.
there's no reason to roll away there. So like it shouldn't be something from 20 feet. Something crazy shouldn't happen of hitting the front cage and it just takes off.
No. That's not my reasoning for laying up. My reasoning for laying up is to like if you lay up a 20-footer to then walk up and tap in, no one is being like, "Oh my god, why did he lay that up?" Right? No one is questioning
Yeah.
that. There's no
Yeah.
story, there's no thought. Like after you win, there's no one being like, "Oh yeah, he laid up to win." But if you try to make it and airball it, or you try to make it and hit cage, I think it just makes the situation a lot more awkward.
It is,
Going-
but like there's a point where you get too close to lay up. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. Like that.
Like there's a point where you're like, guys, make this.
I guess that's where it's interesting to hear what other people like, where other people's line is of like, I'm too close, I have to try to make it. But then I think there also are some people that are like, I'm trying to make it no matter what. And my whole thought is just like the Scotty Scheffler moment of him winning the Masters after 4-putting. It makes it like it makes it awkward to be like, oh, he won when you do that. It's I think it's an interesting thing to hear what side of the fence people are on that.
Yeah. Well, because my thing too is like you want to be the last person to make a putt, and so like for the win, like it's
That's
awkward.
also weird.
Yeah, it's awkward if you hit a 40-footer and everyone else on your card still has to putt.
Kristen
just
Tatar
return.
doesn't care. Kristen Tatar does not care.
No, not at
Like,
all.
she just walked up and made her 20-footer, and then like 2 other people still had to tap out.
Still had to putt. Yeah.
The same thing
Yeah, she
happened
doesn't
in
care.
Champions Cup with Chris Dickerson. I think he made his putt, and then the other people still had to tap out, but he won. Or
You might be right.
I
Yeah.
think there's certain people that
It's just,
that
like,
just
awkward.
don't care.
it's just
Yeah.
weird
I just don't think they.
because you
I
want
don't
to.
think they care.
Well, you want to run out with the trophy and be like, "Hey, here's your trophy," but no, you gotta wait until everybody's done putting out.
Well,
Yeah, because I
They
think
shouldn't be doing
normally like the players would be like, hey, you want me to tap? Like, can I tap? Like, want me to tap out? So then they
Yeah,
go
like,
and
you want me
tap
to tap
out, and then you have like the final kind of thing. But I think with Kristen and Chris, they literally don't care to where they don't even give the option of these other people being able to tap out because they're already at their disc ready to putt, and you're just like, all right,
Yeah.
well,
Well, the
sweet.
awkwardness mainly comes in because like they do the trophy presentation right then. Because it's one thing if like Chris taps out and then everyone else taps out and they're all shaking hands and
you
then they
should
go count
still.
the scorecard. You should still.
If it's not a
but it's
putt for the
less-
win, if it's already been like decided, and it's not like you have that 20-footer
Yeah.
and you have to make it to win. If it's already been decided, the last putt should be the person that wins the tournament because then everyone can cheer and it's all
Yeah, but
it's
I'm just
better
saying
flow.
it's less awkward in a scenario where the trophy isn't supposed to be immediately brought out. Because when it is, like in disc golf right now, there's this like awkward in between moment where like let's just say that it's a 40-foot scenario, and I make the 40-foot putt for the win. And I won by 3, so it's not like some dramatic.
And the TD
awesome
just
moment.
sprinting to try to get you the trophy.
Well, then it's like, does the TD like announce me as the winner right then, or do we have to wait for one of the people I just beat to tap out? And as soon as they put the putter in the basket, then it's like, your winner, this guy who putted 2 minutes ago. Like that's where it gets even more awkward than just
Yeah.
like the ceremonial last putt. But no, I think there's definitely a line of you got to just run it at that point. But it's definitely a lot closer to the basket than like circle's edge or 40 feet. You definitely got to lay those up.
I think I'm laying anything up inside of 20 feet or outside of 20 feet.
Yeah, I think 20 feet's a good line. Mainly because I feel like especially if I'm winning a tournament and I'm 12 under, that means I'm putting good. And so if I'm at 20 feet, that basket's gonna look massive. It's gonna feel like a tap in anyways.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, could I airball it? Yeah. But I mean, at some point you're gonna look dumber laying up from like 5 feet to make sure you have a
I
drop
don't
in.
think you ever look dumb laying up though. I don't.
If you're 10 feet away and you're like, all right, let me just get it right under the basket. Like at some point you do. You gotta be really close. But at some point you look
But
dumb.
maybe you want to do like the Simon Lizotte, like under the leg putt, where you like drop it in under your leg, and you want to get close enough to where you can do that.
Why would
I
you
don't
want to do?
I feel like he's done that to win a tournament, has he not?
I don't know.
I,
I mean,
I feel like I've seen some people like finish out a tournament very like with like a
Little
a
pizzazz.
little fancy putt. Yeah,
Unexpected. All right, so
yeah. I don't know.
DDO starts tomorrow now. Yeah.
Was there
obviously
any other? Was there any other storylines of Jonesboro? I saw Trevor
know.
almost got crushed saying Kevin Jones is trash, and then he
Yeah.
almost won the tournament.
Yeah, I mean that one we could have seen that coming from a mile away. Actually, I
That-
did. I got $10. I don't think he Venmoed me yet, but he owes me $10.
Yeah.
But no, there wasn't. I don't think there's too many storylines from Jonesboro other than the ones we covered. But at DDO, y'all aren't
Almost
playing
had a big. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask about the course. Y'all aren't playing the Jones Supreme, right? Or are
We
you?
are. Yeah, I'm playing
are,
it.
so-
Playing it. I'm playing it this morning.
Is that the world's course or is that a different course?
Mm-hmm.
That
No,
is the world.
we're playing the two courses that will be the same courses for Worlds. Jones, Supreme.
I
I
could
just
swore they said it was a different. I could have swore they said they were using different courses for DDO, so it wasn't the same tournament.
wait, really?
I mean, this goes back to the off season, but it was a
Well,
big topic of like
what the heck
when
are
Worlds
they
is
gonna?
at the same place.
What the heck are they gonna do? They literally just made. They basically had like, they have a couple courses, either 2 or 3 courses at this property. They made Jones Gold, which like combined a bunch of the holes,
Yeah,
and basically were like, players were like, this course is too easy. So then they're like, all right, and they just buffed it up to this Supreme course, which I just watched like the flyovers last night, and it looks like only one hole is anywhere, like one hole I think is identical to Jones Gold. It was an island, but it's not an island anymore. But they obviously had, this course is way harder. It looks way harder on the flyovers than Jones Gold. So I would be shocked if they like just were like,
that's
all
what
right, we're gonna make a completely new 18 holes over there.
I
I don't know.
know that they said that at some point because we were the talking point was that like it's weird when Worlds is at the exact same course that we've already been to, and like you basically the same tournament. You know what I mean? Because like DDO, if you play the same two courses here and then you play the same two courses at Worlds, there can't be that much difference other than the title of the tournament from now to when Worlds happens in like August or September, whenever it is.
You should
So
try
it's like,
to we should do a video of you explaining why Worlds is so important to someone outside of disc golf. Because I was trying to do that with my buddy, and it was just not clicking. And
but it's
I was actually also struggling to, because he had like a lot of good thoughts. He's like, so yeah, or like a bunch of people from, you know, Japan and South America and Asia, are all these people coming in for this tournament. So it's like a big, and I'm like, honestly, no one talks no one really talks about like international stuff at Worlds. There is no like Olympics kind of vibe of where
well, the opening ceremony, people carry in their country's flag and stuff, but that's not like a big part of the marketing and the actual.
I didn't even know that existed
Yeah,
until you literally just told me that.
yeah, but that's not a big like it's celebrated because it's the World Championships, but it's not something where the field and maybe it's not something where the field drastically changes because like if there's anyone good enough
Yeah.
to have like be up in contention, they're over here already for
Yeah.
the most part.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like, oh yeah. But even in golf, it's tough to do that in golf too, with like the tournaments that like alternate. I mean, obviously, like the PGA Championship would be probably the hardest one for me to be like, this is why the PGA Championship is a major and why this matters more. I would have a hard time also trying to explain that, other than like we have just decided it by a name that this tournament every year is going to be a major. Um, but yeah, I think I'm almost positive. I just texted my dynamic disc um, insider. So if someone knows, he would,
It could have been
and
something where because
and we'll see
Jones
what he
Supreme
says.
is the world's course. I know that. I know that's what they designed it for. So maybe originally they weren't planning on using it for DDO, but then once they had it, they're like, we got to use it, and they just are
Let's
using it for.
let's talk about this. Why is there a theme to make hole one potentially the worst hole, starting hole? Because okay, let me phrase this. I don't think they're bad holes, but as a
Mhm.
starting hole, I think you couldn't pick a worse hole for so many courses. Like go through
It,
it. Like go through it. Well, Vegas, Innova, whatever. That hole's fine, whatever. But moving after that, think about it. Waco, hole 1, terrible starting hole.
Yeah.
Then you got Texas State's this year, terrible starting hole.
Yeah.
Then you have Jonesboro, good starting hole. That was a good
Yeah.
starting hole.
Yeah.
And then DDO, bad starting hole.
At Emporia or Jones Supreme?
Emporia,
What's
good
it- what's-
starting hole. I like Emporia's starting hole. Supreme, have you seen hole 1?
Mm-mm.
I might lay up on a par 3. That's
Fascinating.
under
So it's nowhere
300.
near.
That's under 300 feet.
Really? What's it like? Like, what is it?
It's
Just wooded or what's
It's a
going on?
built-up island.
Oh, another one of those.
It's a built-up island of I mean, again, sick hole. But for the first hole, I'm curious to see how the fans like what they think of, because my whole thing is like I when I tune in, if I'm like tuning in, I'm like, oh man, baby, final day, let's go. And I'm tuning in, and obviously they're reading off, where they start. They start probably with chase card, I think, for most live coverages on Sunday,
Yeah.
I assume. So you're tuning in, you're seeing chase card go off on hole 1. Like, I find it awkward that there could be like 2 people that just throw a B on the tee shot. Or do
Yeah,
you not think that matters? Maybe it's just me as a
it depends on
player.
the scenario.
Maybe it's just me as a player that doesn't like it, and the fans actually love.
Waco, I 100% agree, because like there's one point where one of the players threw a B and like never made it past that like little down the ditch you have to go over,
Yeah.
and then walk down. It's like this awkward thing of, do you throw from there? You got to walk back up and now re-tee. Like, that sucks to start around. But if it's something like Emporia, hole 1, you can go OB, but you're gonna go OB pretty far down there. So like that, I don't mind.
Yeah,
Like,
but
if somebody just-
four people aren't going to go OB.
no, but if all 4 did, I wouldn't be like, oh man, this hole sucks.
No, but you'd be like, wow, those guys suck.
Yeah, but that's a tough way to start around. But I wouldn't think anything about the hole. I would just be like, that's a tough way to start.
I guess I'm just trying to put like my like first time watching disc golfer cap on, and or just like casual fan of disc golf cap, and it's like I'm tuning in, and I see the first 4 shots I see all go OB. I'm like, these guys suck.
Yeah, but when does that actually happen? When's the last time a chase or lead card teed off and everyone went OB on hole 1? I don't think it's ever happened.
It happened a lot at Wake. Not everyone, but there was multiple times where like 2 people would go OB on the first shot.
That's what I'm saying. Waco, I agree. Like, that's a weird one because there's so many spots to go OB, and it looks like a super easy hole as well, even though it's obviously not, because you have the angle control and stuff.
Yeah.
And it brings in the potential very awkward situation of having to re-tee if you never make it back in, of like you just started your round and then you just have to go back to hole 1 tee.
Scenario. Giving you a scenario, okay? Because now we're talking about, again, I don't think this is actually going to happen, because I was talking to Ezra about it, and he was saying how the upshot's like 100, like you have to lay up, you're still like 150 feet away. So I don't think theoretically this would happen, but if there's really heavy winds, all 4 players lay up on a par 3 that's 300 feet. Now, what are your thoughts?
A par 3 at 300 feet.
First shots of the day you're seeing. They do the flyover. They're like, we got a 320-foot par 3 to start us off today. Final round for the DDO. We are going to be crowning the champion. I guess it would be on Saturday, or do we flip flop? Do you know? Are we going dink 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 dink, or are we going 2 at Supreme, 2 at Emporia?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the pattern is. I don't know if y'all flip flop back and forth if you go 2-2.
I don't know either. But just let's say first day on the weekend, you're tuning in, and they're like, all right, these guys are in 4th, 5th, or 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place, and they're like 300 feet right there in front of you, small little island green, and then you just see jump putt, jump putt, jump putt, jump putt, all to the layup. So
yeah, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
I'm giving outlandish scenarios, so I don't think that'll happen. But it was something interesting to think about, like the starting hole of like course design. How do you want players to start their round, and then also how do you want spectators to start their viewing experience?
Yeah.
Because we don't really
that makes sense.
do like a recap of what people missed, right?
No,
Like,
not unless there's something.
Like, did they
big.
show any of Simon's ridiculous round he had before
Not that
the day
Yeah.
started?
They did.
Okay.
I saw a little.
tuned in.
They put like a package together. Yeah.
Was that before the round started though? Like before
What do you mean?
coverage, or because that happened?
That was
happened.
before that was before the chase card teed off.
Oh, okay, so that was like the first thing they showed when you came on to
Yes.
when you
Yeah.
came to watch.
Yep.
Okay,
I
sick.
do remember
Yeah,
seeing
see,
that.
I think that's sweet of where it's like you come in and you're seeing kind of what kind of transpired
Yeah.
earlier in the day.
They kind of gave like a recap of the day when they started. So that was really good to see.
That's it. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that they're doing packages like that. That's really cool. All right, well that's all that's all the crappy conversations I had I came up with. My brain feels like it's working at 25% right now.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is. We're filming this for this because this is obviously going to go up later. It's currently 7:51. We started at 6 something. We got on here like 6:30. But yeah, so definitely a little early. But I'm very curious. I'm just surprised the Jones Supreme thing because I knew, I don't know why I know this or why I'm convinced of this, but I was positive that the courses for DDO were not the courses for Worlds.
I don't have an issue with that, I don't think.
You don't?
I don't think I do.
I don't have. I do. Actually,
I'm also we've talked about the apparel.
What's the difference?
We've talked about the
between DDO and Worlds. Other than the name. You're playing the exact same course.
What's the difference if we don't play? Like, that's my whole thing. Is there's like we just arbitrarily say that Worlds
only a few months separation.
What?
I think if you're coming to Emporia and you're gonna play those two courses for Worlds, that DDO can't happen that year.
But the thing is like they're not coming when you. That's my whole point. We're not changing anything for Worlds. Nothing changes with the course. It's not like they're like, oh snap, we gotta make this course super difficult because it's Worlds. They don't do anything different. So
that's what I thought Jones Supreme was though. Like I thought that's what they were doing was making that for Worlds.
Okay, that makes sense. But like when Worlds is at D-Glow, let's say.
Yeah, I hate that. D-Glow shouldn't happen that year.
That's fine. D-Glow doesn't happen, but it's still like essentially it's the same course. So
I don't have a problem with. I think that Worlds should have like its own courses that we never go to except for Worlds.
That's an interesting take. Okay.
In the meantime, if we're gonna use courses that are on tour, I think if Worlds is going there, we don't go to those tournaments because like Ledgestone, the tournament, it's like the whole time DDO this year, all we're gonna hear is it's a Worlds preview. It's a Worlds preview. You know, and then whoever wins this tournament is immediate the favorite to win Worlds because they have to basically just win the exact same tournament a few months from now.
Why don't they just make Worlds harder?
Well, yeah, I mean that they should. I'm just saying,
like tighten in the OBs, move the baskets closer to OB.
Yeah, all that should happen. But if it's not going to happen because it's not right now, then we can't be going to the same courses. I don't think that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it takes away from DDO. Because all I'm thinking of this weekend is nothing about DDO
Worlds
or
preview.
Pro Tour. I'm thinking
Worlds preview.
This is a Worlds preview. Yeah.
So, two things I've jumped ship on, and again, I'm like having a really hard time remembering what the heck we've talked about on this show and what we haven't.
We talked about the apparel last week.
So I jumped ship on apparel, and I declared that I've also jumped ship on double strategy.
No, but thank goodness. Finally.
I've jumped ship on doubles strategy for situational for certain situations. I am now on the side of aggressive play first
Yeah.
on certain situations.
Yes. Welcome to
And
the right side.
and I think Ezra explained it the best. He was the
Okay.
reason that got me to jump ship, and all he had to say was, "Well, you do this in disc golf because disc golf's way easier than golf." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it is."
I know.
And that makes a lot of
That was
sense. So
because
yeah,
like a layup, like obviously a chip shot from like 10 yards off the green or something, or I don't know what scenario or even a putt, laying up a putt in golf. It's like, okay, but like that, we kind of want 2 shots to be within 3 feet. In disc golf, like your radius of where you need to be is like 20 feet wide and stuff like that. And it's not like, oh, well, I'd much rather be 20 feet on this side of the basket than this side. 9 times out of 10, that doesn't matter either.
well,
So it's like,
what did it for
close.
me was actually the tee shot, because I was
Mhm.
explaining, like, in a scramble, you literally have the person that hits the shortest go first, and then ideally too, you have people that like can find the fairway. So like normally a scramble will have like one person that if you're on a good scramble, maybe you have 2 people that can hit far. But essentially the first couple people, all they're trying to do is get in the fairway somewhere down there, right?
Yeah.
And then once that is accomplished, then the next whoever's left, they essentially are just trying to hit it as far as they can down the fairway, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, why do we do that in golf? And then in disc golf, it's like it was a hole 5. First off, you guys were highly misrepresenting the length of that hole. It's like a 485 shot that probably plays like
Oh, okay.
450.
Yeah.
The par 3, it's downhill,
Yeah.
so it doesn't play nearly as far as the distance, but it's still like a 450-foot shot. But on that hole, like in my head, it's like, all right, let me throw the layup so we have one in the fairway, and then you can go for the basket. And that's where I jumped ship, because he's like, well, let me go for the basket, and if I'm safe, then you can go for the basket too.
Yeah.
You're not going to mess up the layup. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to, like, 99 out of 100 times, I'm going to throw the layup well. So,
No, it's all, like even that layup in particular, even if you mess it up, most of the time you mess it up, it's still going to be like okay.
yeah, I mean, the hardest thing, you would have to really shank a shot wide for it not to come back OB.
Yeah. And you get 2 shots at Ezra's on the island, but like 40 feet. Now it's like, all right, well, we're definitely taking that. So now you just put it close.
Yeah, I've jumped ship, man. I'm on
Yeah.
the aggressive play first for doubles now.
There you go.
For situations.
Yeah. There's definitely some situations where you gotta make sure a shot's in play because the hole's really hard or the aggressive shots are really low percentage or whatever. But
Yeah, because if you
you
had like
gotta a case.
if you had like an island layup at 300 feet, and then you had an island basket at 500 feet, in that scenario, it's like, all right, let me try to lay up to the first island and get a safe, and then you can go for it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on
Sweet.
your side now. So watch out if we
There
ever
we
play
have-
doubles. It's night.
Boom. All right. Well, I think that's about it. That wraps it up. Silas, you got anything? How's the shop holding down? You got everything in order when we get back?
Yeah, man. Everything's in order. The office is the office. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Uh, you'll find out, I guess.
Are you
Oh my
gonna,
God.
Size? You gonna be there for the grand opening?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah.
Well, you're
School
gonna do
will
it-
be out of session by then. So,
Oh,
yeah.
an
I'll
out
be
of
there.
school stylist. Watch
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I don't know what that's like.
Are we doing Foundation versus the Nation?
Yeah, that morning.
That sounds fun.
Are me and Size partners in?
We might. That didn't even cross my mind, but
How we wanna
I
do
think
it?
so. I think that's how we need to do it. I think that's the way to go.
All right.
What course we playing?
New London shorts.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I can get behind that.
Okay. Have we promoted that?
We've thrown it a little bit. We're gonna have the registration go up tomorrow, I think, and so we'll promote it heavily then.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna talk about that in my video today then, because that will
That's
go up
fine.
this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. That'll be a good time. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the morning, and then the actual grand opening probably around 3 in the afternoon is the plan.
Also, I think we have our place in Dallas, and there's a good chance that I can make like a nice little like scramble course in the backyard.
Oh, heck yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with we talked about this, the whole spatial thing. I struggle with that. I don't know how much I trust Kelsey with it. So she's like, oh yeah, you can throw like a 300-foot shot from here to here. I don't know if I believe that. So I'll have to, when I get there, I'll have to see, but it does look like a decent sized backyard with some like trees and stuff that you can kind of make. And then also there's just like, yeah, it should be good. So we should have a good content house situation in Texas, and then we should have one in Florida as well. So this off season, we will be popping off with content that isn't us in I don't even know Eskimo outfits, unless you're trying
like
to prove
semi-cold.
unless you're trying to
like,
prove a point that it's not actually cold.
Well, that content will still exist. Just it won't be all the content.
No, I also won't be in it, I don't think.
You also won't be in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be Trevor and I.
I was gonna
So
say
that content will exist in a different form.
yeah, if you guys want to go out and play in 30-degree weather while I'm
We will.
chilling in Florida and 80-degree weather, then that's your MO. So all right, sweet, awesome. Yeah, DDO this week should be a good time. Gonna go out and play Supreme for the first time. They made a couple changes on Emporia, so I'm gonna check that out as well. The country club side. Good luck in your guys' your battles. I guess the first one would probably, when's the first one coming out?
First one will come out next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. It'll be out the next two Tuesdays will be the battles.
Also, quick little shout out. Silas, you want to plug your show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got a new show on the channel, Plastic Addict, and so I host it, and we dive into all the details of disc golf and plastics and a bunch of obscure and different fun things. So yeah, if you haven't,
What's featured this week?
What's featured this week? We got some new shoes this week that we're gonna be trying out. Idios Sports disc golf specific shoes. So
nice.
I gotta tune into Silas shoes review.
Yeah, that should be fun.
I don't even know what to expect.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We still have minis available too. Check these things out.
Oh, sick!
We got a lot of stuff in the warehouse. We've been getting in a lot of stuff.
Did you send me this, Silas, or was this all business Brad?
Oh, that's all business Brad. He's on top of it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we got some more Castaplast in. So Yeah, another shipment of Castaplast. We're getting Yikun discs. We placed a Yikun disc order. So we got a lot of fresh stuff coming in.
Don't think that's the right way of saying their name.
Yikun?
Nah, it's fine, dude.
That doesn't sound
That's how I've always heard it.
Really?
Yikun?
I've always heard Yikun's probably closer.
That sounds better. It sounds like you weren't like saying the full word. It sounded like you were like cutting it off before you were saying it. But all right.
Yikun.
Yeah.
Guys, good luck this week with all that you're doing.
You as well.
try to get a top 10 situation here.
All right, there you go. We'll talk to y'all.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.